But before we finish the story of Kuni 2, let's check our kingdom, see what's going on.
We have to make sure it makes sense this time. We have to
There's
make sure
but Webs,
because what happens if we die?
But Webs, there's research that got finished. Gotta get that.
Pedro, if we don't stop the apocalypse, completing the research would be pointless now.
Well, it's not my fault. This game has so much fun stuff to do.
But isn't it your fault for succumbing to it? Like, isn't the moral supposed to be work before pleasure?
But that's the thing, Jova. Everything here is pleasure, as far as I'm concerned.
What does Evan have in mind for if he gets killed while on this mission? Who's going to be his successor?
I'm guessing.
He actually hasn't thought of that.
True, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Remember, the successor would supposedly be his son, which he doesn't have yet. So
he ain't got a son, so we're all fucked.
That's the end of the royal bloodline.
It's okay, Dwebs. We'll just do it like in the Legend of King Arthur. Since there's no sword to retrieve from the stone, we'll just have a tournament to decide who the king is.
But that's the thing, though. It's like, well, all of Evan's most trusted advisors are also with him right there and then.
Well, that's the thing. Roland cannot exactly take over because, well, he's from another world.
Roland's here. Well, Roland's here with us. It's like
Jova and Weaves are theorizing a total party queue.
I guess.
I mean,
this is me. Without meaning to sound big-headed, but I've made some pretty awesome weapons up to now. But the best is yet to come.
Well, then call me when the best comes.
Alright. Next is Eli.
Are you implying that her weapons suck, Joe?
Well, I kind of do get them from other weapon makers in the kingdom.
Ah, mon petit roi, your kingdom is becoming a fashion destination par excellence. I have never felt more inspired. I will not rest until everyone here is setting new standards in haute couture.
That's having Tio voice, this guy.
Actually,
no, it was Pedro.
This guy's
really, I remember that.
He's French, not Italian.
Yeah.
So?
Well, speaking of Teo, go ahead.
There we go.
Anything you need me to do, you just say the word, sir. There's no case I can't crack and no job I can't.
Very well, then you ought to solve the case of where the hell Red Ash is.
That's...
I'm sorry, I crack cases, I don't do miracles.
Hey, Isabella.
I don't know what.
Go ahead, Jova.
I have never felt more energized. Life feels so full of possibility. I shall be with Glaucus. I just know it. And I'll take down anyone who stands in my way, be it man or woman, even if he's gay.
How would you see out that thing, man?
She's a bit of a creeper.
That of a pizza.
Alright. Don't worry, Shiroi. I'm speaking of Little Trudy. Okay. Golly, aren't I just wonderful? And luckily for you, I'm just itching to help you make Evermore great in any way I can.
Very well. You need to help Evermore stop from dying. As in, if any evil demonic beings come while I'm out defeating the final boss, you need to help fight them.
So she's going to be the successor.
And next is Kitty. Go ahead, Shiroi.
Oh, yes. Everything's going swimmingly. I've got some amazing new baking creations in me, and who knows, what else?
Maybe I'll make her the successor.
Who, Kitty?
Maybe.
I mean, she's a baker. She's a baker, though. I don't know if she's capable of running a kingdom.
She'll never go hungry.
So, I've heard of a baker in Labyrinthia who went on to be the most famous defender ever there.
Close. Who was this?
That was Gio.
Go ahead, Teo.
My say is Penelope. If you don't believe me, just try me. I think I could. Pretty. Also, Jova.
It's a very useful engine indeed.
Also,
yes, yeah.
Jova. History tries to make you believe. Let them eat waffles is not real.
I suppose. Who to
sorry, there he was.
Alright, back to Allegoria Castle.
I know. We'll let Undyne be the successor. Or whatever that girl's name was.
Licorius.
I mean, hey,
I'd be too afraid that she'd burn down the kingdom.
Sure, as one of the neutral ending shows, Undyne makes a pretty good leader.
Alright.
End the game.
Not as big as I was expecting, huh? This place gives me a very nasty feeling indeed.
What's wrong with
I think you're suffering
Me.
from plot
I love
decidus.
each always more evil than the last.
Why do you have so many doors in this one hallway?
Whoa.
Oh.
It's to add suspense, Shuri.
All right, Galeem, cut it out.
You never know which door he's gonna be behind.
Oh.
Hey, look, it's the spirits.
No.
Oh, wait, are those the same spirits from the...
No, they're not the Zodiarchy.
They look like they could be.
No, they're just Allegoria spirits.
Yeah.
Isn't Allegoria technically the same kingdom?
No, they also have to remember, Joe, that the Zodiarchy were shaped in the shape of the Chinese zodiac. These look like generic spirits.
Maybe they're the nobody versions of them, where they're just husks.
I had hoped that you, of all people, would understand.
Let me guess, he gave him that nightmare.
Well, kind of makes sense.
What did you do to me?
I did nothing.
You have the Horned One to thank for this. It means to protect you, for if harm comes to
There you go. Good call, Jova.
Oh, he's his soulmate.
Yep, I called it. I thought that soulmates hadn't really entered the equation for a while.
Good call with the anagram.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird because Doloran is different now.
Oh my god, he's a recolor of him.
He looks a bit goofy.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer him with the snake.
That's the thing too. That's actually not his real face. His actual real face skin color is human skin color, as we're gonna see later.
Okay.
So he's just green because he did too much evil.
Although it means an impasse. If we kill him, that means Roland.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure Roland's willing to make a heroic sacrifice.
The more power he has gained, the stronger his effect on you has become. This proves the connection.
Yep.
So if I shot Doloran in the head, then
Roland will die as well. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, remember, Dwebs. It's the same soulmate concept from the first game. So
Hold on. One thing. Oliver didn't die after he killed Shadar.
but that's
Remember,
because Shadar split their souls right before that. Jova, remember?
provided the connection between them.
Well, maybe we can try and find
Even
a way
says to him.
Maybe we can try and find a way to split their connection, like that case.
That's the thing, Jova. Sadly, unlike with the first Ni no Kuni, the concept of soulmates is not as prevalent, so people are not exactly as powerful about it as in the first game.
Well, it doesn't mean we can't find a solution. Well, we'll see what happens.
Well, let's see what happens.
If I can't kill you,
Yeah, there's that.
It's a good job no one who didn't like his presidency came along with him. He just shoot him in the head and be done with it.
very true. Which is why, if you will not join me, I must banish you instead to a dimension.
Then he can just kill himself in that dimension when he goes mad from loneliness.
Do you think you're the gatekeeper?
I see now why
I banish you to the black hole.
Who gives the mystery?
your country, Allegoria,
Who sent the
and my
Roland
country was destroyed too.
Huh. Interesting.
here with the game?
Kings, with no kingdoms left
Yeah.
to rule.
They're soulmates, even in that aspect.
One last chance to save our homes.
How the heck is Roland supposed to do that from here, though?
The kingdom the Horned One has given you.
You'll see, Jova. We'll get to that.
Time travel, calling it.
No, well, not time. You'll see.
Who I really am.
Dimension hopping.
So yeah, Teo. In this, Teo. Basically it goes back to the soulmate equivalent. Remember how in the first game when someone got sick, the other got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Allegoria was destroyed, America was destroyed.
Also, gotta love how Doloran gives absolutely no shits about Evan. He just talks with Roland. That's it.
Will delay my plan.
Evan is irrelevant to his plans as far as he's concerned.
Poor Evan.
I guess we'll just fight then.
Call myself a king back there.
Like Roland said, like even actually no, never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself. Never mind. Ignore me.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just
Doloran. Doloran. Don't worry, Teo. We fight him in his human form. So I know you like. I know you fight. I know you have a keenness for fighting villains in their human forms.
One thing
Well,
that's a bit
not completely. I love balance. That's just it. I don't like when a game decides to veer too much on one spec.
I wish this game would have gone all out with it and have it so that every time you hit Doloran's health bar, Roland's health bar goes down too.
That's not how the soulmate concept works, Twibs. The soulmate concept works on a more ethereal, complete life thing. Like even in the first game, when someone got hurt, that didn't necessarily mean that.
I recognize that attack actually.
It's the basic gist of it, Jove, is that it's not that 100% exact. Like it's more like on a grand scale type of death and harm rather than every single little thing, you know.
Also, some gameplay and story segregation with you can allow the game that.
What time are you guys at?
11:30.
Okay, I'm a few seconds behind, so I'm paused at 11:55.
Well, it's still gameplay, so don't worry, you're fine. Why are you paused at? Sorry, I misheard it.
11:55. I'll get him in.
11:55. If you can I do it if you don't mind me too, just in case.
Sure.
11:55. Okay.
Curse Europe.
All right, Jova, get ready, and click. There you go. And just in time, Magic. We're almost done. There you go, Taylor. It was actually Heaven who gave the finishing blow as retribution for ignorance. There you go. That.
Still, my powers are not sufficient.
No.
How the prophecy
sorry, Doloran. You're still at level 68. I'm at level 99. You don't stand a chance.
Jeez, I underestimated. Yeah, big time, dude.
You know, your first mistake was going for the snake motif. We kind of step on them.
Oh?
Cats step on snakes?
Sure, why not?
Not all cat.
Oh.
Alright, cutscene.
Wait, there's more going on outside, huh?
Well, there's still a lot of mooks to fight, so yeah.
Yeah.
War is bad.
No, don't worry, that's not what it is.
They're not going.
They're just fighting the mooks because, well, that they have to say. Oh, and there you go. Thanks to but there you go. Here's thanks to Doloran's defeat, the souls start returning back to their rightful bodies.
Yeah.
We have to go now. Our planet needs us.
More like our bodies need us, but sure.
Just cue the theme song Lifelight and you know how this goes.
I mean, it would fit.
Yep.
And it's a much more satisfying conclusion than World of Light.
Well, like, that's hard to do.
Oh, you just want to sleep.
Yeah?
Finally, the plot twist is that he was just suffering from insomnia and needed a rest.
Oh. A transmission from Zip. It sounds like the souls are returning.
Well, I'd say that's a job well done, and we didn't even have to sacrifice Roland for it. In fact, Roland seems fine.
Well, we just knocked them down. We didn't actually kill him. So
let's take him to jail then. We did it. Only just perhaps, but we.
He did.
Or is that about Evan being an eternal optimist?
I'm sorry, Shiri. Could you repeat that?
I'm saying, what was that about Evan being an eternal optimist?
Well, we did it.
Go ahead.
Not bad, you lot. Not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
Not bad, lassie.
Only optimism here.
Well, someone.
Like we could ever lose.
But it's not over yet. We need to do something about the Horned One. Till it's gone for good, nobody's safe.
Maybe we could turn it to good.
Jova,
There'll
not,
be as much
not for
chance of
nothing,
that.
but it
Ablega's
doesn't,
just asking it to go home.
yeah, it doesn't look like something that can become good.
We gonna do anything about the guy?
Alright,
that
this
we
is
beat
your
up?
one final chance to go back. But first, let's check what
Well,
Leaf Pick
next
Moderator is saying.
Yes,
Go
we
ahead.
just defeated the evil being. Let's look at Leaf Book of Old Times.
Let's take a selfie with the villain.
Go ahead,
Well,
Joe.
to be fair, if you can do it even in Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh, right. So, here are the latest developments. The huge creature has stopped moving, and all folks who collapsed are back on their feet. But it still sounds like there's some ways to go here.
Sorry.
Hold on in there, y'all.
I hope no one was hurt.
My dear mother has come to her senses.
So King Evan is still fighting for the good fight. Dwips.
All we could do
we
is
could-
pray he pulls
sorry.
it off.
Post it if you got King Evan's back. Yeah, post. Teo.
Baby got back.
We believe in you. Come on, King Evan.
My fortune's light shine on King Evan. We've done our
We've
part.
done our part,
Sorry.
now you do yours.
Evan, you have to save us. All of us, Jova.
King Evan will do it. You mark my words. I'll bet you 500.
Come on, King
What currency do we use here?
Dorados, I think it's called. No, it's the Italian version. Glaives, I think. it's
Alright.
called.
Let's heal
There's
ourselves.
always a time for a leaf book.
Let's heal ourselves before the final fight.
Spoilers. Though, yeah, it's kind of obvious there's going to be another fight.
Well, it basically goes for
Clearly,
one.
this isn't his final form.
No, actually, it's, no. Well, we're not fighting Doloran now. We're fighting the Horned One now. Basically,
It's gonna leave Doloran.
basically, it's one of each, Jova. It's a human boss and a giant monster boss.
You're finished, Doloran. Oh, sorry, it's voiced.
He'll never rule the world. Never.
Never!
You have read too many fairy tales, boy. The world was never my pride.
Yeah, it was pretty clear.
You kind of made it obvious.
Well, to be fair to us, that saw the cutscenes. The actual characters were not there to watch those cutscenes.
It was my home, yes, and it was beautiful.
All right, backstory time.
All right.
Should we maybe put him in handcuffs first?
Oh, I recognize that wand.
A young man handed the crown too soon.
Sound familiar?
None loved my
Yeah, Legend of Korra.
No, that. Okay, fine. But
conceited, arrogant. Our king
Oh, hello,
was a being known as
Alisandra.
Tiki?
Looks like. I'll say later.
committed the greatest.
It turned into a beautiful girl. Oh, so it's like Yu-Gi-Oh!
I fell in love. And love between
You fell in love with your Kingmaker.
against
That's like if Evan and Lofty... Ew! But I'm sure this one's for true love.
well, remember, like you just said, this one had the ability of turning into a human form. So
How lucky!
That's.
so there you go.
So you got punished because you fell in love with your Kingmaker.
Not just you'll see. And not just that. Think of it. Doloran was kind of like what would have happened. Like imagine if Evan did indeed become king of Ding Dong Dell. Like it feels like cause he was considered an arrogant and he was handed the crown too soon. So it kind of feels like what Evan's story would have been like if it would have gone horribly wrong in a lot of ways. So he's kind of like an anti-Evan of sorts.
Is he really?
Well, like
I guess.
Well, like I said, Jovi, both of them
okay.
are both Evan and Doloran were given the crown as when they were very young. So that's the comparison that I'm making. Like it feels a lot like aside from of course being Roland's soulmate, there's also a little comparison you can make to Evan in a certain way. But anyway,
I guess in some ways they're opposites. Like Doloran had everything handed to him on a silver plate. Evan kind of had much taken away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, well, Evan
that might also
Doloran ended up...
that might also explain, Jova, why Evan is noble and kind, whereas like Doloran himself said, he's conceited and arrogant.
Orientation.
So here's my one.
Hold on, there you go. Now we're
Oh,
the Darth Vader moment, of course.
an outcome where your reward.
Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy.
I mean, we
Yeah,
haven't
Roland,
really
it's the
seen
same.
much about him and his son.
Back. It doesn't mean you should.
Oh,
Now you've done it, Evan.
I guess the same powers that punished you for falling in love with your kingmaker are now punishing you again.
Horrible black stuff comes from the horned one, you know. Doloran by ears just been channeling it like. But it looks like it's finally getting the better of him. That thought he was infected by it from the start.
So you were just a pawn in a greater scheme.
of course.
Not so much that, Jova. It was just that the power of the horn one is starting to get too much for him, like Lofty said.
Alessandra! Allegoria! Both shall live again!
No.
You destroy whole countries, steal countless souls, just to get what you want? You think that's love? Then you don't deserve to love. And you sure as hell don't deserve
Well-
to be a king.
Well,
And,
true.
Roland made
Well,
us swear.
Well, true. Remember, a true king puts the needs of the population above his personal ones. So
Again, dude, the reason your kingdom got wrecked was because you
Yeah.
put... I don't even want to know how that romance started, but yeah. Wait a minute. I wonder, that blue-haired kid we've been talking to, was that Doloran's younger self?
well, we'll see.
No, it does.
We'll find out later.
Alright.
Well,
Like I said, it wasn't even his final form.
You should have gone for the head.
That's what we did, that's how we knocked you out.
Well, technically, whatever.
Oh.
Oh, King Evan, I don't feel so good.
actually, it's
Just
Roland
hold-
who fits the role.
Would it be? Like, isn't Roland kind of like the Tony Stark? Oh, never mind.
How about this? There we
What
go.
of course, it turns into his waifu.
You are free at last!
Or not?
Nope.
Nope, denied.
Boy, age has done wonders for you, Alexandra.
What is the meaning of this? You are not my Alissa!
Oh,
That he's breaking the screen.
nice effect. I destroyed light, and
Oh,
there's only
okay.
it's only
This
dark.
really... Okay, Tio, this is like that moment from World of Light, now that you mention it.
Well, this game came out about 6 months before Smash Ultimate. Or is it 7? Whatever. The point is, it came out a few months before.
So what you're saying
No,
is
remember-
Evan for Smash.
Remember, Roland was the
Who's Doloran?
Tio is.
All right, let me just.
Pedro?
Oh, sorry. No, I sensed the same darkness as before. I feared it was merely the horned one unleashed. Sorry about that. The point is,
Okay.
okay, so which begs the question: where is
one
Alessandra?
Why should we care about that?
Go ahead, Dwips.
Never mind that, you island brain swamps you. What about that? They're tearing the very skies themselves, damn it all.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go, Jova. Batu agrees with you.
I think I'm a bit behind you, Pedro.
Oh, sorry.
Do you see how the edges? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Let me say where I'm at. 24, 15, 16.
Yeah, I'm like 1 second behind.
All right.
There you go.
What about it? Well, oh, okay. Whatever. The point is, go ahead, Shiri.
If we can't close it up somehow, the whole world could be sucked inside. We need to close it. We need to beat that thing.
Yes. Gotta have a final giant boss for climax purposes. Oh, who's back?
Back again.
Yes, he's back with his friend.
Shiri?
Sorry. Think you can fly us up there, Lofty?
Do I think I can fly us up there, love?
Can you?
As soon as I stop staring at you. What are you saying, man? Of course I flippin' can. Come on, Evan. Let's get up there and give old Horny Boy a piece of our minds.
That name is so going to stick.
Lofty seems to think so.
I suppose we did go to all the trouble of restoring Mornstar. It would be a shame not to use it.
True.
Oh, it's you again.
Mornstar?
Hold on, Tay, are you there? Oh, he's not.
He's gone.
Oh, okay.
The very sword over which Alice Hardra and I swore our pact so long ago.
There you go.
Huh. Which might explain why it's the only thing that can penetrate the Horned One's defenses.
Yep.
Alright, everyone, come on! It's time to defeat the Horned One and return peace to our worlds!
Our world, but...
Then the only battles we'll have will be those with Smash!
Alright. So yeah, one final reconvening before the final battle.
So, Doloran, you just gonna chill around here even though this mess is all your fault, you idiot?
Well, Doloran, are you just going to sit there mouth agape, or are you going to fulfill your prophecy?
Sure.
Doloran was just a softie all along? I never thought he was doing all this because of some girl.
Oh, good.
But don't you see, Tani? She's not just some girl. She's just some girl who's just some girl. Yeah.
Lofty, to prevent tragedy like this ever again, make sure that I never fall in love with you like he did with his Kingmaker.
Don't worry, Evan.
You're the closest friend I have, but I don't like you like that, man.
Thank goodness. I mean, I don't know. It's a bit creepy. I mean, having a girlfriend who we can technically also order around. Doesn't anyone else find that a bit iffy?
Anyway, Tani.
Well, Jova, maybe that's why the gods got pissed.
Maybe. Unless the gods are
I cannot allow this questionable unity, so be gone!
What would the kids even look like? Or be like? How would that even work?
So, Doloran was tainted by that stuff too, huh? No wonder he went crazy.
But silly Java, don't you know? True love transcends all differences.
Love is one hell of a drug.
Wait. He was tainted, so he got an STD from the Kingmaker.
Well, again, it's like Lofty said. Like the power of the Horned One was too much for him to bear to the point.
Now it makes sense why that's called the Horned One with all this mess going on here.
Okay.
So was the whole of our Allegoria tainted too? No, now's not the time to be thinking about that. We've got a final showdown to focus on. Have you all checked before we go?
Don't you mean the final countdown?
But yeah, like I said, silly Jova, don't you know? True love transcends all differences.
Well, why yes, Pedro. In fact, like good old Legend of Titanic said, well, there's one thing I'm not, and that's a racist.
There you go, basically. Go ahead, Whips.
So Doloran's tale was as simple as it might have seemed, eh? You can almost feel sorry for the fucking swab.
I'm
wondering about bestiality possibly being at play here.
Well, he may be a villain, but he's an oddly honest one, I'll give him that. Which makes me think this sharing a soul with Roland nonsense may not be nonsense after all.
Honest, he's been making a career out of tricking the leaders into doing his dirty work. He's a snake for crying out loud.
If we do not intervene, the tear in space created by the Horned One will engulf us all. Yeah, that's a pretty cool effect. We must go after him, Your Majesty. The consequences of inaction are too dreadful to contemplate.
So
True.
We gotta chase him into the world of dark.
Hey, Roland.
Thanks, Evan, for saying what you did to Doloran.
And I guess by extension, you.
Teo?
I don't know why. I don't know why, but I couldn't just bring myself to tell him he was wrong. But you could. Guess that's why you're the king in this whole equation.
So, Doloran, how you doing? Dwebs? Might as well.
Why?
So, I guess he's way too distraught to do anything about it. Okay, I guess we'll have to clean up his mess. Alright.
Yes.
If you want to stand a chance of beating the old one, you'll need to use Mornstar. You know, the Sword of Unity. Don't go rushing in like a bratty with some other weapon, whatever you do.
Sure.
But you knew that already, innit? Right, you ready to do this?
Yes, I am.
As you know, I was born ready.
Yeah.
Not away, Evan. I will go. That's eager you are. Let's get the show on the road then. The old one won't know what's hit him. And even if we fail, I'll just go back to Cardiff and get the TARDIS.
No need, just turn into a dragon.
Right.
Because we stole it from the English, because they weren't paying attention, that's all.
Alright, to the realm of darkness.
This kind of space between spaces that was in Big Hero 6.
And also like that place at the climax of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
It's a common setting for climaxes that writers love, or directors, if you prefer, like to use. Notice how we're literally looking at all of the remains of Allegoria. Hello.
So what?
Come here often.
So,
This is
okay.
where your work and personal...
The horned one, King Breaker.
So, just like I thought, Doloran was just a pawn in the Kingbreaker's evil schemes. Wait. Whoa, dude kind of scaled down in size.
What?
This is...
Sorry, Lofty, I can't hear you.
It's kind of like, basically, Joe, it's another throwback to Chrono Trigger in the sense that Lavos has that big, gigantic form, but when you go in, but then when you check out the real being, it's actually not that big thing. It's actually a shell. The real Lavos is that robot-like thing, and in here it's a dragon-like creature, basically. Again, a throwback to Chrono Trigger.
I wonder what this guy's evil plan was all along.
No, the horned one is just a mindless monster.
Even though he kind of played Doloran like a dang fiddle.
Well, Joe, I've already explained this. It wasn't so much that he was playing Doloran, it's more so that Doloran was channeling his power, and eventually the horned one overwhelmed him. Like, I'll have to explain this.
Well, yeah, in that sense, the horned one made him his pawn. I mean, sure, that may not have been how it originally was, but that's kind of what ended up happening.
Well, regardless, here's how the horned one boss fight works. Notice how earlier he had a purple life bar? That's because the life bar works like this. Basically, the orange life bar, just like all the other bosses, is the actual proper life bar. Go ahead, too, if you want.
I've seen that it's using the Kingmaker's powers.
Yes, well, he is a King Breaker.
But I mean the other Kingmaker special attacks.
Yeah. Well, remember, too, he copied the skills of the others because of the King spawns. So,
learn more about this horned one, fellow.
It looks like an aquatic spirit. Good luck, Evan. Well, it is kind of like the final boss of the truck. Remember, the final boss of the truck is constantly changing elements during the fight, so it kind of is like that. Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, yeah, the purple. Whenever he has the purple bar, that means you have to first drain the purple bar before you can get back to drain the main bar. So basically, one of the best ways of doing that is with either magic or with strong combo attacks. There you go, and there you go, and now another change. There you go. Now he's changed to Bastion element. So basically, yeah, it's a straightforward boss battle despite the 2 life bars. Do your best to avoid his multiple attacks and just keep whacking, basically.
He doesn't make use of his dagger tail there. Ridley would be so disappointed.
He does, actually. It's just that he's not using that particular attack right now. Right now he's stunned because of... yeah.
You staggered him.
Fortunately, there's no stagger gauge in this game. Thank God. It's a
What are
straight
you saying, Pedro?
It's
The
a straight.
Stagger Gauge is one of the most iconic and innovative RPG elements ever.
Fortunately, this game knows which elements to make more complicated and which elements to keep simple. Gameplay-wise, I mean. Just because you can, and as I'm sure Terry will agree, with me, just because you can make a combat system complicated, that doesn't necessarily mean you should.
I mean, first and foremost, you make it so that it's coherent.
Yeah,
Like,
which this is. Like I said, it's a mix of Kingdom Hearts with Rogue Galaxy.
yeah. A gameplay style being complicated should only be something that's, a byproduct. It shouldn't be like, the overall goal in mind, unless you're doing something like
You
Dark Souls.
motherfucker! I was literally like 1 millimeter away from. God damn it!
I hate bosses that heal themselves.
No. He doesn't heal himself, Jova. He just puts on his shield mode.
Oh, wait. So is that what the purple bar is supposed to represent?
Exactly.
Oh,
there you go.
hello.
Now you got it.
Oh, I see. They're pulling a Castlevania 4 where Evan's theme plays as we're near to beating him.
Yeah, just for climax purposes. Why not?
I like games that do stuff like that.
It's a common Japanese game choice.
Yeah,
a lot of
Sonic games did that.
Yeah, a lot of Japanese game developers love to do this. It's a common
It's
thing.
a Japanese and it's a Western thing. I just like when games do that in general.
Yeah, but from my experience, Japanese games tend to do it more often. At least from my experience. Feel free to. There you go.
Oh, my evil plans! I had an entire backstory! A spin-off planned!
And now, final blow.
Oh, snap. Well, at least now we know what Evan's final smash will be if he gets into Ultimate.
Like I said earlier,
Well-
in First Smash.
Well, before that, we might as well put Ni no Kuni 2 on the Switch. Why not?
It's only a matter of time at this point. Unless someone
Well,
has some...
Oh, hold on. Cutscene. Hey, Alessandra.
Oh, where were you?
Hold on. We're going to explain now.
Doloran, I'm very disappointed in you.
But you did not free me from within the Horned One.
Oh my, she was inside him.
It's more.
Horned One was not born of the wrath of the gods as you had thought.
Turns out it wasn't the wrath of the gods as he had thought.
I wanted to be with you. I wanted it so much that I gave up the power of the Kingmaker.
Wait, you can do that?
She can. However, there's a problem with that.
Once freed, that vast, insatiable power gave rise to a monster.
So there you go. By doing
it's gotta go somewhere.
so there you go. By doing that, she upset the natural order, basically.
Do you know how Kingmakers are born? They are born when a soul is sacrificed in order that a great power may be tamed.
Comes great responsibility.
Binding my soul, I
Oh.
unleashed that power. By abandoning it, I committed an unforgivable crime. A crime for which I was punished.
So technically
So
it
she
was
committed the
her
crime,
fault.
not him.
Yeah. Which means Doloran's quest to return Alessandro to himself was completely there was never any chance.
Hopeless.
Much like Oliver could never save his mom, Doloran could never have saved Alessandra.
Sacrifice.
Oh.
Power which poured
I guess technically if Doloran hadn't done any of this, he wouldn't get to see her again.
Yeah, that's like his one. You will get one consolation prize, and that's it. As you'll see. Yeah, there you go. That's the irony. By unleashing the Horned One, he undid the good she wrought.
Whoops.
Oh, no, apparently.
the Horned One.
But at least now the Horned One is defeated. However, the One's defeat also means.
Containing him
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, you were containing him?
can be at peace
Mm-hmm.
at long, long last.
So you're Zelda from Breath of the Wild.
Thank you for never ceasing to love me.
Well, I'm gonna go die now.
Not in this world.
Never see him again.
Someday.
One consolation kiss, and that's all you'll get.
Oh no, this is the ending to Sonic X.
And there you go. Now that's how he actually looks like. There you go.
So, just minus the green skin.
Not yet. Anissa!
Yeah,
Okay.
I've already did the Metal Gear joke.
I will give the actor credit. He's definitely doing a good job with that scream.
Yeah.
Well, things didn't go as I planned.
Dude, be lucky that things didn't turn out even worse.
Yeah.
I
All right,
really
and now,
could've-
all right, but now we get the final message.
Alessandra is no more. Allegoria will not rise again. All that I have loved is lost.
Technically, it wasn't his fault, I guess.
Hold on.
Tell me, what great wrong did I do to deserve this?
Well, flattening whole kingdoms.
No, he means before that was back when he became a king and everything went to shit even before he started doing all of this.
No, Roland. You just did what you could to keep your love for Alessandra alive and save your kingdom.
Alright, I guess I owe you an No, actually, I don't owe you an apology. You still killed people.
As best if you can. And then the tide of history comes and sweeps them all away. My country was swept away too. I tried to stop it. Tried to prevent the war that would end it all. But you can't hold back the tide.
Can only save as many people as you can from the flood.
Rolled in.
I have an idea. Why don't we make a new Allegoria?
What?
Build it up.
Hold on.
If it can't be brought back, I mean, we can build a new one instead.
I mean, it makes sense.
Sure, why not?
He will rise from the ashes, basically.
A kingdom
Just like Pompeii.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't built a kingdom for nothing, so what's to say Doloran can do the same.
grew, and thanks to its wonderful people, it eventually became a great nation. You can do the same, Doloran.
You truly think this possible?
This small cat child did
Hey,
it.
I'm 12 years old and I did it.
Oh, there you go.
Oh?
The country Evan and I built together.
So-
Changed things for you, Doloran. For this whole world. No one needs to be a slave to the past anymore. Now we can look to the future.
Let's just look past all the civilians that you kind of manipulated and murdered along the way.
Well, technically, all of the souls are now returned to their original bodies now.
The one mouse guy in Ding Dong Dale is pretty much
True,
dead.
true. Oh, but those you see, Joe, but he was a bad guy, so it's okay.
And also, not to mention, he manipulated the guy who ended up manipulating Mossinger that ended up killing Evan's father, so, yeah, casualty there. Just saying, the other kingdoms may not be too happy about that. But yeah, let's give it a try.
Imagine trying to give a speech.
And
over
all
it,
right,
like,
remember what Alessandra said: a kingmaker is born when a soul is sacrificed. So,
Yeah.
well,
It's
well,
so
Oh god.
well, whose soul was sacrificed just now?
localized
The
entirely within
horn
your
ones,
kingdom.
like, the horn ones.
Alessandra, obviously. So yeah, a new kingmaker appears in the cradle. So that's Doloran's chance of rebuilding his kingdom.
Wouldn't it be interesting if Alexandra's soul could
All
be
right.
sacrificed to save Alessandra?
All right, what better way to celebrate the unity of all five great nations than a party in the kingdom that made it all possible? And and we're gathering literally everybody. There you go. See,
Everyone is here.
Just like last time. Ah, nice crown, Evan.
all right, Evan, go ahead.
It matches the sword.
Speech! Speech!
We come before you today to make a solemn oath in the presence of all our peoples.
United we stand as one single land.
Well,
But
come on, I don't
divided
get a
we
sword.
fall.
Trailer shot.
The dog's like, bro, come on, I don't get a sword. All I
So-
get is
so-
the
so-
stuff of a die on it.
Oh,
yes, Pedro?
Kind of.
I'm sorry, Dubs. You asked me a question. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, yeah. Imagine how that dog felt. All I get is a sword with a staff with a die on it. I don't get a sword.
Well, remember, Dubs. That's his tradition. So.
Also, Tio?
There you are, Roland. Roland, you look like you're glowing, actually. Is it... Are you...
Alright, hold on, Teo. Can you hear us? Okay, I guess not. Go ahead. Alright, go ahead, Jova, please. Sorry.
Looks like this is goodbye. I guess it's about time. I was heading back home.
Yeah, remember...
My American accent seems to be returning to me anyway. You're not going to stay here with me? Apparently, the higher powers that be have decided that my work here is done. But you actually did do something!
Well, remember, it was Doloran's shenanigans that made him come here. Now that it's gone, yeah.
I can feel it. It's pulling me back.
Yeah, we can even see the particles from the spell.
But your world is...
Yeah,
kind of a mess.
True.
Wrecked.
Hold on. He's about to address that.
Yeah. Before I came here, I wanted to be destroyed.
Yeah.
I may be returning to nothing, but death and despair. I know that. But whatever's waiting for me, I'll be able to face it. I built this kingdom with you. If I can do that, I can do anything. Oh, toot Sonic Warrior. You taught me a lot. Evan Pettywhisker Tildrum.
Aw.
I won't forget. Not ever. And you'll be back for the DLC too, right? Roland.
And then everyone else in the kingdom was wondering, hey, where did that Roland guy go?
He left. One last handshake.
Anytime now. Ah, there you go.
Goodbye, Roland.
See, Sonic Forces, you animate him reaching for him. You don't. You see that? That's
You're
like.
still not gonna let that go.
No,
said,
the animation of Tails. No, I'm sorry, Joe, but that animation of Tails wasn't done properly, and it kind of sends a wrong message to me. I'm sorry. Anyway, one more final thing we have to resolve.
Let's see if I...
Small child.
God forbid that small child was the magic being that brought Rowan into this world.
Who are you?
Unless that somehow Rowan is a kid, but that would just be...
You're King Ferdinand, aren't you? You've been helping me all along.
King Ferdinand?
Hold on, he's gonna explain. Remember, Joe, but that king that supposedly united all the worlds before. But anyway, hold on.
I forgot about that.
What?
Everything I've told you, you told me first.
Oh, what?
I am a little confused.
He's about to explain. But well, Evan also agrees with you too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to sound strange, but I can send my mind through time.
There you go, Joe. But this is the time
I
travel
knew it!
aspect.
I was born.
I knew it, just like I said in an earlier part with this kid.
Obvious thing to do.
Though, still, I'll admit I kind of forgot about King Ferdinand. He...
Oh, hold on.
His father was like as a child.
Oh.
There you go. He's Evan's son.
You are my father.
Wait, what? So let me get this straight. King Ferdinand, the king who united the kings in the,
We're about to explain that, Joe. But don't worry. Don't worry.
I promised that I would live up to
Oh god, it's Fire Emblem Awakening!
but before I could do that,
Yeah, blue hair even.
Yeah.
the things I said to you, those words of wisdom, they were all yours.
But...
Ferdinand lived long ago. He...
Oh, bother.
I'm afraid that was just Bodley's little joke. She's no historian, you see. She's a seer.
Oh, for God's
Bodley!
Oh, for God's sake, that little Bodley shit!
I don't like her even more now.
So
I
yeah,
am tempted, very tempted to draft her into services under proper management.
so yeah, Ferdinand will actually continue Evan's cause.
So, DLC to come?
That's the thing, Joe. I still don't know what the final DLC expansion is about, so we'll have to wait on that. At the time of this recording, mind you.
This is like something that's like setting up for a new game. I mean, it's an interesting twist, but
Remember, the next installment at the time of this recording is going to be a movie, so...
Well, actually, Joe, but there's one particular reason why this twist is here, as you'll see. We'll see it's mostly for the purpose of giving closure to Evan's cause, as you're about to see. Hold on.
I mean, it makes sense now that they've explained it.
Well, hold on. You're gonna get the primary reason why this is here now, actually.
Okay.
Wait, Ferdinand, he's gotta be someone's soulmate. But yeah, in the future.
There you go. Skip a few years later. Yeah, there you go. There's King back to his time, and there you go. King Fern, like he explained, Evan united all 5 great nations, but they're still smaller nations, and so King Ferdinand continue that work. So there you go.
Oh my God, he grows up into Marth.
Yeah, it is a freaking Fire Emblem Awakening.
So there you go. King Ferdinand succeeded and finished Evan's cause. The entire world.
Look at that!
Yep.
Oh, look at that! Zip and Bracken had a daughter, because that's clearly Zip's genes there. Glasses.
So yeah, King Ferdinand succeeded in finishing Evan's cause. The entire world stands united.
But yeah, what Tio said in the chat earlier, does that mean that King Evan died young?
Not necessarily, Teo.
Well, younger than you would normally expect
okay.
someone to, I guess.
To be fair, do we know how many...
No, we don't know. Maybe that's saved for the final DLC. Again, at the time of this recording, we don't know yet. It hasn't been
He was
divulged.
alive long enough to tell his son all of these things, and the son was old enough
Yeah.
to remember him saying them. So he died younger than he probably should have. But
How do we know? I mean,
young.
And anyway, like Evan just said, and my promise to Nala was fulfilled at long last.
Okay,
Now we get some concept art by Yanai-san.
Also,
be
to
fair-
explain further, Ferdinand, like in that particular clip, he looks like he was somewhere in his 20s.
Probably
could have been in
30s.
his... Well, sure, for all we know, maybe he aged well. I mean, I guess we don't really know. Like, for all we know, Evan could have been, like, really old by the time he died, or maybe just had the kid. He's older than he looks. Also, I guess this means that Evan married a woman who's not also a Gramokin, since, Ferdinand doesn't have any cat-like features.
So maybe it's that one we're all thinking of right now. But anyway, much like in Layton, the screenshots, or in this case, concept art that you see in the credits, show alternate scenes, like kind of like how in the Layton series, the screenshots that happen in the credits show different things that not necessarily events from the game itself. So it's the same thing. Again, a little Layton type of credits. Also, I love this particular track, Happily Ever After, composed by Joe Hisaishi, of course, performed by the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra, the Philharmonic Chorus of Tokyo, and with lead vocals by Mai Hisaishi, Joe Hisaishi's daughter.
Not to be confused with Ever After from the end of the Enchanted movie.
There you go, Andy.
I think she also did the vocalizations for that song at the beginning of Deathly Hallows Part 2, I think.
Mai Hisaishi?
I think so, yeah, it might have been, I don't know.
You want to check?
I kind of doubt it, but whatever.
I thought I read it somewhere, let me see.
I know she did a song for Ponyo, but I don't remember she doing anything for Western media, but who knows, I might be wrong, I don't know.
Let me check.
So there you go, while Roland was studying the stone, Bodley and Evan were asleep.
You sure Bodley wasn't just looking at him from behind, just pretending to be that liar!
I mean, I don't know.
And these two,
of course,
and these two find out.
Married.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Now, finally, get the physical therapy you need. And by physical therapy, I mean get a room so that you can work on
Vent out all your frustrations. Yeah.
Yes, let them out good, and then
Really
evacuate.
bringing out all these jokes in this LP, aren't you, Jova?
Sure, they've been writing themselves. Let's not forget, this whole plot happens because a guy falls in love with his
I can't really
dragon.
find it either. It might have been misquoted or somewhere.
Which, funnily enough, is kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh!, where Seto Kaiba's ancestor fell in love with the spirit of the Blue-Eyes White Dragon,
Oh,
which is
look at
also a
that.
girl. Oh, right, when Roland and...
And the Kumbish were escaping, yeah. Apparently a big frog tried eating them.
Jeez, cannibal much?
I always love the concept art in these.
Alright, and now... Oh, and look at that. While they were making a pat, Evan's mom and father were looking down on him.
Oh, shoot, right, we never really talked about his mom.
His mom was
But
a
there they
human.
are.
His mom was a human, as you can see there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think one came with the collector's edition, but I hope a separate art book is released.
There is an art. There is an art book that came with the collector's edition. You can buy it separately on eBay. That's what I did. There you go. See the creation. There you go. See the
selfie stick.
There you go. See the
Oh,
creation.
God.
The creation of Mornstar was a combination of the greatest scientists of Evermore with the greatest wizards of Evermore. So again, keep going back to the theme of unity of the game. And Evan also went on to pay his respects to Aranella. You were saying, Jova? Sorry.
Oh, there's Aranella right there, actually.
Looking down upon him. Yeah. Again, spirits looking down upon. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, sup.
And there's Evan,
giving a speech from before. Well,
Right,
no,
yeah.
this is the speech from before.
The speech,
The
yeah.
people down there are like, please don't drop the sword.
I would be embarrassing. But thankfully he
They'll
didn't.
cause some deaths too, but yeah, that'd be a bit embarrassing, wouldn't it?
This is my personal favorite. I love this one. This would look perfect on a poster. Like, I would love a poster of this.
Watch that be the thumbnail to someone's LP of this.
Maybe it could be ours.
Well, why not? It looks gorgeous.
And here's Evan helping Doloran see the light. Again, wouldn't it be funny if Anissa got reincarnated because she sacrificed her own soul? That would be like the ultimate loophole.
All right, one final credits after credit scene before we finish.
Oh, okay.
Level 5 made this escape, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Back in the remains of America.
That's exactly it. Well, Shiroi, you might be surprised by that, actually.
Yep, that's definitely America.
Fictional America. We cannot actually use the American flag because it might be a bit yeah.
Future America.
Compared to the opening cutscene, yeah, you seem happy in comparison.
I wonder. The irony.
By the way, sir, what was that
Hold
you were
on.
saying about magical dragons and shit?
Actually, he's about to say that to Ibs. Actually, hold on.
Oh, wait.
And now a little. So what happens now? Instead of the missile.
That's much nicer.
In a little country a long, long way from here.
Yeah. Just don't.
So there you go. You just so there you go. You just saw Hino's wish for the world as we know it. He really wishes the world would be united instead of divided.
Just don't mention anything about magical flying dragons or all that. People will think you're insane.
It's like I said before. I really get the theme of unity from this game. The message I get from this scene is that Hino's personal wish is that he would love for the world to stand united instead of divided like it is, sadly. Like by divided, I mean divided by various reasons, not necessarily by frontier.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the main story of Ni no Kuni 2. All right.
So I wonder, did Roland get his son back?
I'm assuming not. But
we have no way of knowing.
They leave it ambiguous, but probably not. Considering this is an Akihiro Hino game, so
I don't know. I mean, we have had some miraculous happy endings in some of these games.
True, but
he's probably long dead.
well,
I mean,
they leave it ambiguous, so you can decide for yourself whether you want him to live or not, I guess. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, final thoughts.
Can I go first?
Go ahead.
Yeah. See, overall, it was a really solidly told story about, how basically life could get severely fucked up, but then you have to work hard at it to fix it. With help.
Obviously.
Or a lot of help in this case.
Well, you can't do everything by yourself, and one thing is adding to that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if ever had to do the whole thing by himself, the game we'd be barely a quarter of the way through the playthrough by now. The side quests were for the most part engaging and fun to watch.
I feel nothing for you. I don't find you attractive or anything in the least.
What a bitch.
Go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Yeah. The characters themselves are for the most part, fun to watch. Although I will say in the case of Leander, I'd be hard pressed to tell you what he was about.
He was the one who was in love with his queen.
Yeah,
his queen.
My favorite one's Lofty. Not just because I can actually do a not shit Welsh accent now. Well, I'll leave it to Shiori's judgment.
No, it was a lot better than the first attempt anyway.
Yeah. But
the sad part is that Dwebs was actually doing it well in the first part of the Ni no Kuni one, but then he lost it somehow. But go ahead.
Something happened. I don't know. But also because he's the most fun out of all.
Well, he's a comic relief. He's supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm not looking for a character to be like the most in depth or whatever. I just want him to be fun,
Well, of course.
Simple stuff.
There's nothing wrong with simplicity. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whoever says simplicity is wrong is a liar. What else? Is there anything else I haven't covered?
The gameplay, I'm guessing?
Oh, yeah, the gameplay. It looks a lot more fun than the first one. The first one just looked a bit too menu-heavy for my taste. This one you can actually, slice stuff and fight stuff like you should do in these kinds of games.
Well, that was Ino's intention. He realized that a lot of people nowadays prefer action RPGs over turn-based RPGs, so he decided to go that direction. Go ahead.
Although Ni no Kuni wasn't even on one side or the other, it was kind of the.
It was the first game was a hybrid of both. Yeah. Go ahead, Dweb. Sorry.
I also think the music is superior in this one, previous one.
I agree.
The graphics, the graphics are good for a mid-tier PS4 game.
Mm-hmm.
But I will still say that I think the relative lack of voice acting was a bit of a negative, especially considering that there were times where there was that fast-moving text below during battle.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. That those text boxes, that was really badly handled. I agree.
Yeah, if they ever do a Ni no Kuni 3, they'll probably be subtitled. Don't worry, you can read the subtitles this
time. Don't worry,
well,
it's free.
It looks like Ni no Kuni 3 is going to be the movie.
So there's that.
Are they calling that Ni no Kuni 3 officially?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just called Ni no Kuni the movie because it doesn't have an official title yet, apparently. But whatever.
Yes,
definitely. I referred to it as a phrase because the Eternal Diva fit into the timeline. So I'm just assuming that the movie is the next installment for this franchise, despite it not being a game. So
unless it's going to be like Yokai Watch, where it's sort of like an adaptation or different timeline.
Go on. Let's go on.
Anyway, yes, Yuri, I will make sure to hop on that flight to Japan by July. What else? I've done the music, I've done the gameplay, I've done the graphics, I've done the story.
What do you think? Well, how about this?
Side quests?
No, he has already said about the side quest. All right, what do you think of the use of the? This is a question for you, might as well. What do you think of the use of both skirmishes and kingdom building to work together with the story to further solidify the experience of building a new kingdom and all that stuff?
It makes sense. You're building a kingdom, and odds are there's going to be some prick out there trying to take it down.
And there was a very persistent prick.
Tyron probably is going to die out there alone.
Bricks tend to be persistent, yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I almost feel sorry for him.
All right, keep going.
Nah, he's a little shitty. How they coming?
What?
Yeah, well, I've already said it makes sense. You're building a kingdom, but you've also got to fight it. I wonder if that's what like a Sim City set in like ye old times would be like.
Place record then. Place record then, Dwebs. Basically, it was the first JRPG to attempt something like that. Basically.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
If you think you're done.
Well, yeah. I've already listed my praises and my complaints.
All right.
I've been doing that a lot during this playthrough. So.
Hey, Teo, back on. Back with us, Teo. I guess not.
Can we just type up?
Just well, okay. You
can't hear you if he's not in the chat, guys.
You done, dudes? We apologize, everybody. By the way, so it's a bit. We're having a bit of technical issues.
Difficulties.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
All right. All right. While we solve this, Dubs, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. Go ahead, Shiri.
Oh, okay. I also prefer the soundtrack to this game. Like, I love the soundtracks for both games, but I find myself remembering more tracks from this particular game, specifically the boss and town themes. The art style, I really like it, and the only thing I can really comment on is I'm okay with the whole chibi art style for the map, because I know some people had reservations about that, but I think it works. It's kind of quirky and it is just for the map, and makes it easy to pinpoint characters and such. So
like I said, it also serves as a nod to old school JRPG fans who know that back in the day, the world map sprites were always smaller than the in town sprites. So it kind of serves as a throwback to that as well.
Mm-hmm. I guess it can seem a little jarring because I think in this game the colors of the environment are a little less saturated this time around, so it might look a little weird plopping these chibi characters in a somewhat more realistic looking landscape, but I actually don't think it stands out all that much. I think it works pretty well.
It's harmless if you ask me. Good.
What about the text?
Oh yeah.
I'll leave that.
I've already covered that.
Yeah.
Subtitles in video games aren't actually very good in general. So, yeah. The only, and again, aside from what Dwibs mentioned, which we all agreed on with the particular speed of the text during the finale part, it's just the usual issues with video game text that arise, really, so there's no real need to speak about that here.
I think the only reason that this one stands out is that it's white, which is one of the worst colors you could pick considering all the different landscapes in this game.
It's not even that. I mean, the only thing I will say on this matter, because it is quite there are people who are more tactful who've spoken about this, but just make the text boxes a solid color. It's not that hard. That's all you need, and then everything's fine. I don't know why this is so difficult, but anyway, I love our main cast. Favorites being Tani, Evan, Roland, and Lofty. Badu's fun too, but yeah, and Leander doesn't really he kind of operates more in the background.
I think I get what you mean. It's like after his
great character, but he just kind of doesn't operate as front and center as the rest do a lot of the time.
I'm guessing which means pretty much after his arc, with his queen is pretty much done. He's there, yeah, but he's only really there when we need him.
Again, he operates very much in the background, but there's nothing wrong with that, really.
Yeah,
It doesn't drive the rest of the story.
No. It wasn't a critique on him. It was just like a general observation.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay is more my thing, since I generally prefer action RPGs. I don't mind the hybrid, of course, but I do much prefer this. Let's see. I guess my favorite worlds would be Hydropolis and Goldpaw.
Even though Hydropolis is doomed, I can't. Well, no, I don't care.
I like the way it looks. I mean, it is doomed, but I like the way it looks.
True. I'm sure Atlantis looked beautiful too.
And
carry on.
The story's great. I almost thought, before they revealed the whole thing in its entirety, I thought they were gonna go for the whole, the resolution that happened in Sonic and the Black Knight. That's kind of where I felt like that conversation was going. But I still like how this turned out, and I had almost forgotten about the other young boy we'd seen in the dreams, I guess.
Well, we see him at the end of every chapter, so...
Yeah, but again, not often enough. Like kind of towards the end,
yeah,
we were.
It's because of the way I recorded this.
Kingdom management and
yeah,
stuff.
It's because
I kind of
the way I recorded this. Obviously, if you're doing just the story by its own and ignoring side stuff, obviously you're going to see it in more frequency. But I wanted to show the side quests because I think the side quests and the kingdom management do a great job in enhancing the quality of the game. So I wanted to show that as well. But go ahead.
I don't know, like, the side characters as well are really fleshed out, like, saved from a couple of them, but I think we've all commented on that already.
What do you think of the world of the game itself? Do you think the world was charming and well fleshed out with all the NPCs we meet and all that stuff?
Yes, I do. And I actually like the fact that in Broadleaf in particular, these robots or androids, whatever they are, actually have pretty interesting personalities.
Oh, just you wait until a certain broadleaf side quest in the Lair of the Lost Lord.
Oh, okay.
Joy.
And also, now that I mentioned Broadleaf, it was that one side quest where, like, we got the resolution of it, but it would have been nice to kind of see how Broadleaf was during its recovery, I guess. Like, that would have been nice to see, but apart from that, I don't really have any gripes with the side quests or anything. No, they're all a lot of fun, and, like, even though they weren't mandatory, I guess, I think... They
go a long way in adding to the overall world and the overall detail.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, because...
Which is what that's the thing, Shiro. A long time ago, side quests did used to be like that. Again, fortunately, games like Witcher 3 brought that back, basically. And Hino is a big fan of Witcher 3, so I wouldn't be surprised if he took it from that. Like, side quests, above all...
to Evan's character.
It's a huge improvement over the first game, because in the first game, the side quests don't really have any story meat to them. They're just basic fetch quests and beat this monster thing. It's mostly just
go some of the running ones, like the one involving green-haired boy.
True, but that's like the one. You know, that like this game in comparison has a lot more meat to its side stories. But go ahead, Shiro.
Definitely agree.
But no, I think that's really all I can say. This was a fantastic game.
Sure.
At least to me.
Alright, you done?
Yay. Yes, I'm done.
I'll go next. Okay. This is, so far, my personal favorite level 5 game that they've made. Because it's basically, in a lot of ways, it feels like a game that was made for me. In a lot of ways. Why? Oh, wait, Teo, you back?
Yeah.
I hope so.
You are, yay!
Cool, well, did it work between you and Bruce?
I'll tell you off commentary.
Well, apologies for this, everybody. Technical difficulties, you know how it is.
Sorry, continue with the final thoughts. I'll tell what you need to tell later.
Sure. Okay, so basically, like I was trying to say, I really appreciate what the themes that Hino was trying to express here. I'm a person who also really hates both prejudice and just people dividing themselves into groups for stupid reasons. So I personally really appreciate the optimistic and hopeful way Hino attempts to send the message of unity here, and I really enjoy the characters as well. The characters, like in terms of, I really enjoy the thematic depth of the story, because I think it does have a lot of good lessons for kids. Because remember, Level 5 makes games for kids, according as said by Hino himself. And I think this is a good way of showcasing these messages in a way that kids can understand. Like it's a very simple way of discussing country politics in a way that little kids can understand, and I really appreciate a writer that can do that. Again, like I said various times before, I perceive Hino to be the Don Bluth of video games, in the sense that he makes games for kids, but he always tries his best to tell stories that deal with mature things, but in a way that they can understand. So I really appreciate Hino's effort in this one, and I really love the cast in general. Pretty much all of them, and trust me, we're even gonna, like I've had before, we're even gonna get even more character development in the DLC anyway, so you can look forward to that. It's an overall really charming game, and I really appreciate everything that Hino did here. However, this is still a video game and not a movie, which stands fine, because the greatest asset of this game, if you ask me, is the gameplay. Because I find the gameplay of this game so tight and so well put together. It's quite stunning. It's one of the most well-crafted JRPGs I've played in years. Like everything, like there's so many different elements to it. The skirmishes, the kingdom building, the combat, the side quests, all of them work in perfect unison. They all form a cohesive whole in a lot of ways. Like it all gears toward, and it mostly because all of it feels connected to the main scenario. You never feel like you're just, okay, now let's take a break from the main story and do some irrelevant stuff. No. The side quests themselves contribute to not just because we recruit citizens, and building a good kingdom is part of the main story. So even the side quests themselves contribute to the strength of the main story, and that's based in. Unlike unfortunately, a lot of JRPGs tend to forget that, sadly, nowadays. Not all of them, of course, but some, unfortunately, tend to forget. Even the first game did this. The first game's side quests didn't really stick out, aside from, like Jova said, aside from the green-haired ghost boy. There wasn't really any side content that had not that much meat to story. It was mostly just, oh, go fetch me these things. Oh, go kill this thing. Okay, thanks, bye. There was, like, the occasional one that had, like for example, the man who kept losing his diary. That was amusing, but it wasn't anything all that particular. It was mostly just an amusing joke more than anything. But this game went out of its way to try to tell fun little slice of life stories that feel like Yokai Watch episodes in a lot of ways. That really add a lot to building the character of this world, and that's another thing. Of all the games that Level 5 has made, to me, this is Hino's most well-crafted world that he's created. There's so many memorable NPCs to meet and interact with in this game, and most of them have interesting personalities and stories to tell, and it shows that it was a tremendous amount of effort put into this, and I really appreciate that, because sadly not all JRPGs go out of this way to make the world so detailed, so well fleshed out. And it's all done like the game, and it's all done both by cutscenes and gameplay. Like I've said in the playthrough, the kingdom managing mechanics. What better way to illustrate Evan's kingdom construction than having the player do it himself? The player participates in every step of it. It's a great example of story and gameplay working in perfect unison to me. So yeah, it's I really love that particular aspect. And like everybody else said, the music is fantastic, but considering who made it, was there ever any doubts of that? Joe Hisaishi is an absolute master of his craft, and so is Shioki Momoze, the character designer. Once again, and he does not just the main cast. All of the citizens have interesting and memorable designs, like Lily, for example. And yeah, it shows a tremendous amount of effort that went into this. And of course, Level 5's cel-shaded engine is at its very best here, showing off a fantastic cel-shaded look that literally looks like you're playing an anime, a Ghibli anime. And like I said before, I kind of wish the Dragon Quest games took this route. Actually make me believe I'm looking at Akira Toriyama's drawings. But that's a topic for another day.
Dragon Quest 11 is doing?
It takes a more of a Blue Dragon approach with its graphics, Jova, and kind of honest. Don't get me wrong, it looks fine. Dragon Quest 11 does it fine. It's just that personally, it's more of a personal preference than anything. It's not exactly, and it's not actually a fault with Dragon Quest 11. It's just a personal beef I had with it. It's just a personal gripe of mine. It has nothing to do with the game doing something wrong. But moving back to this, yeah, I really appreciate the visuals. Personally, I don't mind the fact that the amount of voice acting in this game is about the same as it was in the first game, and I'm fine with that. I realize that Level 5 doesn't have the same kind of budget that AAA publishers do. So I'm a bit more lenient towards that. But I can understand that some people who are used to JRPGs being fully voiced will have some issues with that. Personally, I don't mind it.
Sorry.
Personally, I don't mind it. I grew up playing old school JRPGs. I'm used to reading text, so I'm fine. Go ahead, Shira, you were saying?
Yeah, that was one thing. I don't think it's... I mean, I would much prefer it if you have voices in a game than the entire thing be voiced.
Obviously.
But, I mean... I think the issue with this game in particular that made it stand out from the first is that, as we pointed out in earlier parts, it was quite selective. Like, you'd have a scene where half of it would be voiced and then suddenly not. If it was less selective, I think that would have gone down better with the rest of us.
Yeah.
It's just the way they chose to do it. I understand the budget, but they could have picked where they'd place that a little better, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's not so much the fact that they did a good like Level 5 usually does with their games. They did a good job picking which cutscenes were most important to voice and fully mocap. The problem is that, like Shiro just said, there were some cutscenes where for some reason they start being non-voiced but then have voice, and I don't really understand what the fuck is up with that. It's weird, but yeah, like Shiro said, it's just a weird choice. It is a weird choice and can be a bit distracting, and I don't understand really what was the thought process there. Maybe those cutscenes were originally fully voiced, but then maybe they ran out of money or something. I don't quite understand what happened here. But I think that those are just minor niggles that I don't think really ruin anything in the grand scheme of things, if you ask me. It's just a couple moments. It's just like 2, maybe 3 moments over. There are few and way far in between anyway, so I don't think it really hurts anything in the grand scheme of things, honestly. It would be nice, of course, if we could have full voice acting, but, well, beggars can't be choosers.
Honestly, full voice acting is a bit overrated, if you ask me. I mean, yeah, it's good to have a lot of voice acting here, but I don't need it.
I'll leave it at that.
I mean, okay, I don't need every little bit of voice text work. Don't worry, I still have my own issues with how it was handled, too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me having fun with, voice acting myself here and there. I just,
of course.
It's just, I've never always gotten the charm in always having every little thing be voiced, but that's more a thing of my own.
It's the whole thing, Jova, of people don't want to read, they just want to watch, I guess. But whatever, the point is...
that's what movies are for, but okay, that obviously...
With the risk of sounding a bit controversial, I think gamers tend to be a bit too lazy sometimes, yeah. I get.
I'm saying nothing.
No. I'm not saying this to offend anyone. I'm just saying that I think there's nothing wrong with doing a little reading here and there. Come on, even in console games, I would argue. But anyway, moving on.
Pedro. It's like with platformers. Us from the '90s, we grew up with them platformers, and we don't consider Crash Bandicoot Dark Souls.
Well, regardless, yeah, and like my co-commentators have pointed out. Yeah, what was up with those text boxes, Level 5? I mean, I don't mind them being non-voiced, but give us time to read them. Like, I'm capable of reading them because my eyesight is fine, but what about people who have difficult eyesight? I mean, don't get me wrong.
Too, and they went by way too fast sometimes.
The text boxes, go by a bit too fast. They're not super important. Even if you do miss them, it's nothing that will ruin the story. It's mostly used for battle cries and we'll do this or whatever. So it's not like
except the final skirmish.
Yeah, the final. Well, not technically not the final one, but I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
We all agreed on that, though. So.
Yeah. Like, aside from like that one side quest, fortunately, missing the text boxes is not. Again, it's not something that will ruin.
Sounds like a main quest when we went up against the Horn one.
It really is. It really is weird. I don't understand what happened here. Again, maybe they were originally meant to be voiced, but they ran out of time or money. I don't quite know what happened here. But regardless,
I'm guessing it was money, probably. But
most likely, yeah. Anyway, the thing you have to understand, everybody out there, is that level 5 does a lot of projects at the same time, so they need to distribute their funds accordingly, and they can't just go all out with one game because there would be a massive risk to them. If this game ended up being a commercial bomb and they went all out, yeah, that would have destroyed things. So they needed to play it safe in that regard.
I know Yokai Watch made them a lot of money, but remember, they had to downgrade in America because it didn't do so hot over there.
There's that too.
So, yeah, they didn't have all the budget in the world to actually,
Regardless, though, I would still argue that Level 5 did a good job in managing their budget more than something like Fire Fence or F, I would argue. Obviously, there's some kinks here and there they need to iron out if they make a Ni no Kuni free game. But I think, like I said, these presentation issues, if you ask me, don't really end up harming what is, I think, an overall excellent JRPG that gets so many things so right. Like I really appreciate the hard work that Hino and his team put into this game, and I really enjoyed it a lot. I put a lot of hours in this game, and I've never been bored a single minute of it. So yeah, to me, it's the best game Level 5 has ever made. It may not be a perfectly crafted game because of those presentation issues that we just mentioned, but just by gameplay alone, it's such a brilliantly crafted JRPG, and the story, I would argue, has a lot to offer to both kids and adults who still are in touch with the child inside them. So yeah, to me, it's an overall fantastic game, and my personal favorite Level 5 game. I would argue it's their best made game. Just based on the gameplay alone, it's their best made game. Their most fun, I would argue. And that's it for me. A fantastic game that, while it is true that most people like me and Teo will appreciate certain elements more because of our nostalgia for old JRPGs, nostalgia for JRPGs is not at all a requirement. This game would be great in the 90s, and it is great now. So anybody can appreciate that as a great entry for JRPGs as well. Anyway, that's it for me. Teo, you think you're...
Between this game.
No, don't worry, we can hear you. Go ahead.
No. First of all, let me voice my reaction to that scene that happened before with Ferdinand. Like I mentioned in the text chat, even if it's not, super young, there's kind of an implication that Evan doesn't live long, because the child version, Evan gets contacted as a child, and unless he has Ferdinand when he's already, on with the years, I would estimate that he dies in his 40s at best. So there's a subtext that we're missing.
I don't know, Teo. I don't think we have enough information to really assume anything. Really, honestly, I think
based on his son's the age he looks, I'm guessing he died a bit older.
I suppose.
Maybe not much older, but I would say older than
40. My guess.
For all we know, he may have had a kid younger. Later into his years, so that he grew old still, or maybe Ferdinand is just older than he looks in that scene. Like, have you seen Japanese folk? Come back, look. Shoot.
It's not like his attorney, Joe.
No, of course it's not like his attorney.
Look. Even in real life, guys, Shu Takumi, Hideo Kojima, Hideki Kamiya, and of course Sakurai, they're all in their mid-40s or mid-50s, and they look as young as they could be in their 20s.
Then how do you explain Hino's face, then?
Well, he didn't get the memo to age well.
He's consuming more energy than the one that he's sucking out of our souls.
Wait. Hold on. Hino gets older, but Sakurai gets younger. Nah, it couldn't be.
He feeds off of the tears of Smash players.
Anyway,
go ahead, Teo.
Alright, I'm gonna start with the easy things to say. The gameplay is obviously way better than the previous game. I didn't mind the familiar combat, but obviously this is a branch into a more
Action.
Yeah, what I mean is comfortable style that can appeal to more fans of the Tales of series, like I mentioned. So I'm fine with either gameplay, but honestly, this game has the better gameplay between the two.
And it's a nice little a little bone to throw at Dark Chronicle and Rogue Galaxy fans, which I'm sure you appreciate.
That too, and this is accentuated by the other stuff that you do with the gameplay, the side quest, the kingdom building, and the constant rewarding for doing pretty much anything.
Oh, that's if you don't mind me, give me just a minute. That's one thing. That's one thing I forgot to mention. Another thing that I really appreciate about this game that Tay was about to mention is the incredible amount of respect this game has for the player's time. Seriously. Just exploring will get you materials. Just by walking around, very rarely will you be doing something in this game that's a waste of your time. And even when it is, technically, it's just a brief little moment.
And I would argue that it's not even too much, like in a sense of too spoon feeding. You still need to do your chores in order to get what you want, but it's not like you're getting nothing. And Ubisoft should take a page, because this game manages to be open world without having, stuff like Ubisoft Towers.
Yeah,
the memory boundaries.
Yeah, like the side quests give you great little stories and give you great rewards. The kingdom building gives you great rewards. The skirmishes give you great rewards. Everything you do comes with its own associated reward and charming little stories that will make it all worthwhile. It's the amount of respect for the player's time it's one of its the best qualities of the game, I would argue. Go ahead, Tim. I'm guessing you agree.
Yes. I also appreciate the much more. Well, I think that we didn't mention. I think I didn't, but I appreciate also the bigger party. In this case, the first game it was just 3 companions that you get relatively early on. Here instead is little by little, and most of them are tied to the nations that you get allied to ever more. Most of them you don't really get a party member from Gold Call, for example, but that's fine. And each of them carries their own thing, but you manage to have a limited number of weapon types that gets interchanged. There are different combinations between each character. Leander uses the spear, but also the wands, which are a combination to the weapons that Tani and Evan use. So, there's a mix and match that I actually like on that front. Also, once more, props to the weapon designer, because the weapon design in level 5 games looks gorgeous as usual, and this is no exception. I still prefer the Desert Seeker as a weapon in general. No offense to the Mornstar in this game, it's fine. But I kind of still prefer that in terms of design. But not to take anything away from it, this game still has a magnificent weapon design that I cannot enjoy enough for saving my life. Even the monster variety is fine. It's more simplified for the case of making the tactic tweaker work. But it's enough variety, if you ask me. The music is fantastic, just as the first game. And I honestly think it's not. It's either balanced better, or is not. It doesn't feel as repetitive as it would have been, like when I had to platinum the first game, and I kept hearing the dissonance between the thing where you were on the ground and when you called Tangri. That's what I mean. All right. Story-wise, I think it's fine. I think it's honestly fine, especially for a game like this, for this day and age. But I kind of prefer the first game story better in general. I think the way the journey of Oliver went through between each steps felt maybe a bit too tight, but more enjoyable to me than this quest of Evan to unify the world. Mostly because I was discussing this with Pedro another day, but as a thing that happens in a lot of open world games these days. It has a strong beginning, a very strong end, but the part in the middle is the one that kind of lacks a bit. The cities of a bit, but the cities that you get to in the middle, mostly Hydropolis, but also a bit of Broadleaf, seems to me that they had something that was either cut or they were kind of rushed a bit through. You spend very little time in those and you get resolved things very quickly. Which leads me to another thing. I kind of get the idea that, and this ending kind of compares me to, that the character of Doloran and the entire subplot of Nazca was not necessarily an afterthought, but something that was written after. Well, something that was written in order to extend a bit more the game, because early trailers and the kind of vibe the game gives, the way it's constructed, gives me the feeling that removing Doloran altogether from the equation and the fact of the kingmakers being preceded from their owners, it wouldn't make the game just the same, with Mausinger as the final boss and Evan basically making the entire world united. That would have been pretty much it at that point. But
if anything, I think most of us thought that Zip was the big bad in this instant based on the trailer.
Oh, I thought that Zip was just going to be a crazy guy with glasses, and he looked like he was going to be an aged-up version of Oliver's friend from the first game.
But then they realized that the game would have been too short, so they added something in order to connect everything and have a proper, RPG epilogue. But not to say that the Doloran subplot is bad. It's there. It does its job in order to also connect a bit with the first game. So it's fine. The characters, both for the main party and for the people that you get through the kingdoms, are all fleshed out and very human in nature. Obviously, because of Bias, my favorite obviously is Roland. Although I still understand a bit, it was Doloran's actions that caused the gateway spell to get Roland into the world, I guess.
Yeah, much like his kingdom got destroyed, Roland's kingdom, quote-unquote, got destroyed.
Right.
No, but what I mean, someone had to cast the gateway spell, so I don't know.
Well, remember, Teo, remember that line of him saying, "I'll just cast you into a different dimension." Well, maybe he was the one who did it for the sake of not letting him die. So
true. Yeah. You're right. What else?
Then who sent him back?
Well, remember, Joe. Now without the connection, there's nothing else trapping him here. So, all right, go ahead.
Which leads me to probably the only thing that bugged me out for the entire game. The character of Aranella. It's a bit complicated here, but the way she's used and she's talked about by others and tied her connection to Evan kind of veers to her to be a woman in the refrigerator, a character that we relatively know so little and gets axed off kind of mercilessly for the sake of another character's progression. Now, here's the thing. The other character mentioned her here and there in this game, but from what I happened to play for the Italian version, which one, it's based more on Japanese script, and two, I know it's also different from other languages, she's not. So I kind of get the feeling that this was Richard trying to salvage, this particular thing that he thought, let's try to give her more importance like that. Not to say that I hate this thing, but I kind of wish there was, especially this is kind of reinforced by the fact that aside from the beginning with Evan's father, King Leonard and Aranella, no one dies in the rest of the game. Even the people who get their souls stolen.
Well, I don't
get
know.
them
Well,
back.
Alessandra dies. There's that.
Did she?
Yeah, she did.
True.
So,
Well, remember, she specifically
I'm
said
still
she's-
thinking
she's-
that soul that came back is her.
Well, yeah, it's her reborn after dying.
Reincarnation.
Yeah,
But it's still not her, if that makes any sense.
yeah.
I'm gonna bring up my own
Like,
conviction with that. in my opinion, that's what I'm
comparing these, the obvious comparison here is with Oliver's mother, like in the first game. The
Yeah.
problem is that Oliver's mother was the central focus of Oliver's quest for like 70% of it, and only at the end is like, you have to let her go. Here, I kind of wish we got something like one scene here in a while that Evan reminisces her memory, which from what I heard, it's something that one of the DLC adds. So I guess it will be covered with that. The only other major thing that I think we noticed also with Pedro, but keep in mind it's still not something that represents the plot, is the fact that for the way the plot is constructed, Evan has everything going right for him. The characters weigh their options and they certainly point out the risk of the situations, but when it comes to the actuality, most of the time they get very lucky or something happens that help them. Not in the sense of Deus Ex Machina, but sometimes you get like a scene like the resolution of Golpo where Master Pugnations freed from the control of Doloran and with a legit function of the goddess, the luck goddess, he does that. He does the law of the dice. The dice tells him one thing, but he completely bypasses, overriding the rule of his kingdom for the sake of having things getting better. I guess it felt kind of weird, but aside from that, the game. I wish it had that Darkest Hour moment that Oliver had in the first game, a moment where, like, I guess either from Doloran's action or something, Evan feels at its worst. He feels like he cannot go on, but his friends and the people that he helped arrive there to help him boost the morale and having him rise again and triumphantly save the world as a result. Something similar, I think, happened. The closest thing that happened is when Evan does the big speech before the battle against the Horned One, where he truly shows what he means by uniting the world. But again, I don't think the plot suffers from this. It's for a game on its own, it's perfectly fine and salvageable. If you ask me, even a breath of fresh air in a climate of today where stories have to be depressing for the sake of being it,
I agree.
Once in a while, it's nice to have something that it's just,
optimistic and hopeful.
Yeah, like. So it's fine, but if I have to compare it to the first game, I were to put it like this: the first game to me has the better story, the second one has the better gameplay and presentation.
Sure.
Although I kind of wish this one got also the anime cutscenes. They were
unfortunately, for those who are not aware about it, Studio Ghibli is no longer in working, so obviously there was no way of getting Studio Ghibli to do cutscenes for this. So yeah.
What else is there?
Well, what do you think of the ending? Since you, up until this point, from what you've told me personally, you haven't really cared much for all of Level 5's JRPG endings. What do you think of this one?
It's not that I didn't care. It's that I thought it will be tied to spoilery stuff, but something happens in those endings that kind of ruins the atmosphere that we were going for. Here, well, like I said, the story is straightforward, and so is the ending. Like, Evan manages to get his wish of, have a king where everyone can live happily ever after, even if it's son that concludes his opera. And Roland can get back to his world, which now is in a better shape, with the hope that he can also have his own world united.
I love the parallel of they even direct the same way, but instead of the missile, it's a firework. Very nice little.
It's the game tricking you one last second, and you think, oh no, it's doing it again.
It's gonna happen regardless.
Does kind of make you wonder, like, will the Roland end up like before that thing occurred, or is that him?
Well,
They leave it ambiguous. Either he worked hard to try to reconstruct this country over the years, or maybe the reconstruction of Allegoria also was the reconstruct again, because the two kingdoms are connected. Maybe the final DLC will address this. We'll have to wait and see.
If you ask me, since we're going for an isekai proper story, they went full circle, and he basically came back in time so he could fix the world with past knowledge.
I mean, we've already established that time travel in and of itself is potentially possible here and there. So
well, remember, Jova, in the first game we had the breach time spell, so travel was always a thing in these games anyway. So,
all well balanced enough.
All right, Tateo, what do you think of the world of the game? Do you think it's well fleshed out, charming, all that good stuff?
Sure, like it's straightforward as a JRPG world. Although I kind of noticed that also playing it for myself, the Eastern continent, aside from Broadleaf, it's not used too much for the main story. You get to search for the memory sand in the desert for a bit, and then you do one of the temples in the Jack Frost playground. Yeah. But aside from that, you don't really have to go there for main story stuff, only for optional stuff. I think I don't know, like it felt a bit weird compared to the first half of the game, but I'm guessing it was it was a moment where they were kind of running out of time, and they just preferred to relegate these areas for post-game content and stuff.
Yeah.
Which also reminds me of another thing that I noticed. The Kingdom of Nazca, well, keep in mind only theory for now, the Kingdom of Nazca was tied to this dimensional shift. Considering everything, I think I noticed maybe Millennia was a citizen of Allegoria?
We'll find out that in the post-game too.
Interesting thought. Last thing I want to mention is, like I mentioned sporadically before, the difference that I noticed with my country's version. Most of the names were changed in interesting ways. Some of the Japanese names were kept. For example, Batu and Tani's names were the original Japanese one. Others were translated on their own. Others were interesting. Like Doloran is called Hamnar in the Italian version. I don't know if it's a Japanese name, but it takes away the anagram from Roland, I'm guessing, in order to give a bit more surprise for the twist. But I honestly think for the terms of my country, they did a fine job. So just like we did with the first game, even with the accents and everything. So I'm fine with either version of the game. Which mentioned also the voice acting is perfectly fine for everyone. Honestly, it's a shame that we couldn't kept the original voice actor for Evan that was in the first trailers, but I'm guessing age took a toll.
No, it's not so much that, Theo. Me and Dwibs have a severe distinction that it was Maria Darling, because it sounds a lot like the typical boy voice that Maria Darling makes. I really get the feeling that it was the original. My guess is, Theo, remember back when the game was revealed, everybody was complaining about how Evan looks like a girl. Evan looks like a girl. So
they still do.
So my guess is maybe level 5 took that and thought, okay, we need maybe a woman who can sound a bit more boyish, so they got Claire Morgan, aka one of the actresses from Eternal Diva.
Did we ever get confirmation that Maria Darling was originally the actor?
No, but trust me, go back and watch the early trailers and the early demos. It sounds a lot like Maria Darling. It might be somebody else.
If it's not her, I'd be shocked.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised, Yuri. There's a lot of sound alikes in the industry. Like, let's not forget how Matthew Mercer is famous for sounding like.
True, but this is level 5, Jova. The level 5 loves to use Maria Darling. Remember, she's Mark in Inazuma 11. She also returned for the HD remasters. Maria Darling is no stranger to level 5, so it's a very strong possibility. Go ahead.
Also,
Theo.
until a lot of us were told, none of us knew that Tails' voice changed for a while.
If I remember anything else I'll mention is in the post-game stuff. But for now, these are my final thoughts. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, also I purchased in the meantime the game for myself, and I haven't regretted that. I'm probably gonna platinum it now that I know the story ends.
That's another thing. Like the trophies in this game are much better than the first game as well, because the trophies are require much less grinding. If anything, because the gameplay itself is much more fun. All right. Anything else, too?
No, go ahead. And like I said, if I remember something else, I'll mention it in the next couple of parts.
Close us out, Jova.
Allow me to bring out my final thoughts. This game sucks. 0 out of 10. Oh wait, sorry. That's my script for our yet to be released final thoughts of Mighty Number 9. My bad. Let me get the proper one out.
Joe,
it's interesting. Joe, are you sure you didn't mix them with your Quiet Man final thoughts?
Oh, but Pedro, we haven't even begun commentating on them.
Jova, call me a lunatic, but I'm making a wild ass prediction that's going to be your final thoughts for Quiet Man. I'm going to take a wild guess. Go ahead.
I am not going to bet against those.
Joe, we haven't done Into the Dragonfly yet. What are you on about?
All right.
Anyway,
we've already gone long enough. Let's let Jova finish. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start off by stating how I like this compared to other stuff. Okay, I'd say that Ni no Kuni 2 here. It may not be my favorite level 5 game. No, that goes to stuff like the Crossover and Rogue Galaxy. Ni no Kuni 2 is definitely one of my favorite level 5 games, though. It has, story-wise, I'd say it's overall very good. As in, it's a very good story overall. Has a few flaws here and there that I'll tackle later. Music-wise, it's pretty... I'm going to give it an excellent. There are some cases where I do feel that some tracks could have been a bit better, but for the most part, it's a remarkable soundtrack that, yeah, I'd say is even better than the first Ni no Kuni's.
It's a Joe Hisaishi soundtrack, enough said.
I do miss the 2D cutscenes, but we all know where those have to go. Graphic-wise, this game, yeah, it looks good. Enough said. Gameplay-wise, okay, the game definitely shines here the best, gameplay-wise. I'll get back to that later, but yeah, again, just summing up my overall things. Gameplay is definitely the best thing of this one.
It is a game, so it fits.
And the characters are overall pretty great, except for a few here and there. But yeah, again, overall I'd say this game is great. Now I'll break down why. I'll start off with the characters. My favorites are, let's see, Evan, of
Zip,
course.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, Zip actually turned out to be one of my favorites too, because his arc definitely felt, pretty great.
Yeah.
Evan, Zip, Roland, of course. Batu was keen.
We all know Bodley's best character, though.
Of course.
Best lying character.
Bodley likes a joke here and there.
Did she even know she was lying, I wonder? But
she was just trolling us, basically.
But yeah, going beyond the main cast, yeah, the side characters are very memorable here and there. There are some that aren't as memorable as others, but considering the massive amount of them, that's to be expected. And it does feel like everyone pretty much does matter in some shape or form because of the side quests you can have to either get them to join your kingdom, help them out in general, or flesh them out here and there. And of course, it helps that you get to actually, speak with them on a regular basis. Those who join your kingdom with the kingdom mechanics, that's good. Yeah, there are some side quests that felt like they kind of could have gone somewhere. And yeah, most notably is Broadleaf. It is weird seeing as how they even have that after credit scene, which shows a lot of the kingdom better. So it's a shame we didn't get a little snippet of that. I mean, I guess whether or not you did the side quest, but it's not the worst thing. But yeah, that's pretty much the characters covered. Except for Doloran. Okay, he's a fine enough villain. I guess with Doloran, he feels a bit cliche for me. Not so much that it ruins him as a character. It's just I feel like Doloran's a bit like I could kind of tell from the get-go, hey, he seems evil but wants to take over the world, but in reality, he really has a cared when he wants to take over. Yeah, and I do feel it was a bit by the numbers. And then it got just a bit confusing with Alessandra. Like, turns out she's actually still alive in a way, but her fulfilling her duty means that she was dead all along, and she ascends up into the heavens after all. So, like, dang, I guess that wish killed her.
It was for the sake of tragic irony, I'm guessing. Like, it turns out Roland, it turns out all Doloran really accomplished was for Alessandro to truly be gone forever. I'm guessing it was for the sake of tragic irony.
I mean, I guess to me it felt just a bit forced, if only because, well, okay, yeah, we kind of learned all this stuff in, like, the last few minutes, and, like, well, I'd have been fine if it was just Alexandra was gone all along, but it turns out she's containing this beast, but just defeating the beast means she dies, whatever. I feel Doloran stuff could have maybe been handled a bit better. It's like you said, since like Doloran was kind of added on to, add more time to it, it's not the worst thing. I just feel it could have gone a bit better since at the end of the day, he kind of ended up getting played like a fiddle by the Horn one. Whatevs.
Yeah, I understand.
I have to agree with you on Aranella in that, well, okay, Aranella shares an issue I kind of have with some other characters who are technically essential to the plot, like Roland's son, or Evan's father and mother, and some other important character. Like, they're characters that supposedly are important, but the story focuses way too little on them to the point where it feels like, yeah, they're kind of just plot elements. Like, sure, I mean, the way Aranella kind of just goes out like that, and hey, she takes the Black Knight with her, so guess there's not even really a revenge subplot regarding that. It does feel like Aranella was just there, like, it almost makes you wonder, gee, she could have pretty much filled the role of Evan's mother in that regard.
If it helps, Jova, there will be kind of a payoff for Evan and the Black Knight in the DLC of the Lost Lord, if it helps you.
Oh, yeah. And don't worry, by no means does this ruin the story for me as a whole, but, main story-wise, it does feel like maybe they could have had more in there, especially since we've established that you can talk the ghost. And speaking of which, I feel like the whole thing with Roland's son was kind of, I don't know, just there. Like, he doesn't even remark about it at the end of the game. It's like, oh, his son is sick and dying.
If you allow me, Jova, did you, even Theo noticed it during that scene? He's actually voiced by Claire Morgan as well, and he has the same hairdo despite being a brunette. So what do you think? So it kind of pretty much implies that what Roland's main reason was for helping Evan all along.
Because he's like his son?
It's the typical thing of he kind of wants to redeem his actions via this kid who reminds him of it. And as you'll see in the Lost Lord DLC, and as you'll see in the Lost Lord DLC, we pretty much get a almost definitive confirmation of that. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry, Mako. I mean, I got the whole, he's trying to make up for something. It feels like, aside from that, it's just, he has a son who may or may not be dying. I feel like maybe that could have been focused a bit more, especially since it's used later on as a parallel between him and Doloran. God, it's like every time I come back to Doloran, it feels like stuff there feels a bit half-baked. Thankfully, everything else is good enough to make up for that anyway. And again, it's not the worst. Just could have been better.
Sure.
Now that that's out of the way, but yeah, still though, other than that, the character's definitely fleshed out well. Like, hey, like I said, Roland's one of my favorites despite some of those shortcomings. Like, I love how he pretty much handles the situation as he goes, whether or not he's dead or dreaming and whatnot. He takes the situation by the horns and he helps Evan out great time. I especially love the chapter where he fakes betraying them in a way that definitely feels just right, but can still be a neat surprise.
Well, I can tell you can look forward to his diary from The Lost Lord, where we get some insight into his own internal thoughts throughout the entire game.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll say it right now before I get to the story section. The game is the game's atmosphere and story and characters are best when it's, not so much just subverting, but when they're, when it just feels the most natural. Like, it doesn't feel like they're going out of their way to subvert, but they do it in a way that is legit surprising, as opposed to when they try and do the supposed subversion, which you kind of can see from a ways away. But yeah, characters, overall great. Music, I love the boss music, specifically the Kingmaker boss music. That's my favorite track in this game.
Sure.
Might be my inner Sonic fan speaking to me, but the music overall is definitely well tuned to the atmosphere. There are a few that I don't really remember that well and didn't really care for, but thankfully nothing that overshadows anything. So yeah, overall, great soundtrack. Atmosphere is good. The gameplay. Okay, I like me action RPGs, so they got that good off the bat. What also helps is all the different things you can do in this game. Like Pedro said, you'll never feel like your time is wasted because of all the different things you can do here. Whether or not you got your kingdom managing, whether or not you got your side quests, whether or not you're doing stuff with your citizens, or even the main story itself. You're doing a lot of stuff. The skirmishes are also a nice new touch to detail, and it really does make you feel like a king at war with his army. Well done there.
Not just that, but the side gameplay styles feel simple enough so that they don't detract away from the core gameplay, but at the same time, still interesting enough to the point where it doesn't feel shallow, I would argue.
Yeah, definitely. I like the different side quests. Pretty much every side quest, except for maybe a few that I don't remember, feels nice, well, and fleshed out here. You learn more about the characters. You can even get some funny stuff here and there, too. Like, if you can do something as mundane as a boy trying to sort out his crush, or a guy trying to escape a girl who clearly is insane and may burn down our town, will somebody please arrest her? And then you've got the drug dealer, the goth mouse. Keep an eye on her. The point being is like, well, it's like I said, every character here is nice, flourishing, and gives a story that you can make up or tell. I love it in that regard.
And it makes the world a place worth caring about.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's one of the best things. Like, when doing side quests can make you care all the more for the world. It's like how I said in, stuff like the crossover one. It's like, well, the reason I grew to care about a world like that was because of how well they fleshed stuff out. Which, level 5, they're no stranger to that, of course.
I would argue that, and I remember Joe agreeing with me on a personal conversation we had about Litton's Mystery. Litton's Mystery Journey in particular, with its more slice of life tone, also goes a long way in fleshing out most of the citizens you encounter in that game. So this is definitely something that level 5 does well, but go ahead.
Yeah. I think that's most of the gameplay covered. Oh yeah, the difficulty settings are nice here and there. Don't know about what we'll find in the DLC, but that should be neat. Also, just checking, does the DLC take place after the events of the game story?
They pretty much imply through certain lines of dialogue that the DLC takes place before they go fight the Horned One, basically. Because, to give you an idea, Jova, when there's a cutscene involving where Evan is talking to the Lost Lord, and the Horned One gets mentioned and stuff like that. So it's considered to be before the Horned One, basically, which is the only way it can be, because Roland is there. So.
Well, unless Roland can come and visit whenever, that would be nice and not be a sad ending where he has to stay away forever. God, I hate endings like those.
I would argue that that's kind of what makes that handshake poetic. The fact that it's one final handshake.
I'm not saying I hate them because they're bad. It's just they make me cry.
Well, that's kind of its point.
Yeah,
also, speaking of that, can I talk about how that was basically the ending cutscene of Sonic Forces, but actually satisfying?
You already did.
I'm sorry, but there's way too many similarities for me not to mention.
Pedro, you keep doing that and Evan with Roland because of that.
No, stop.
I'm sorry, but those similarities are way too noticeable. But go ahead, continue.
Gee, next in comes the fan theory. Was Evan really trying to go for a kiss from Roland? All thanks to Pedro Duarte.
No, fortunately, he actually reached his hand instead of reaching his body. But again, we can talk about that at some other time. Let's continue. We've already dragged this on way too long. Go ahead, Joe. Finish.
Yeah. All right, then. Before I tackle the story, let's talk about the text here and there. I don't know whether to call this a minor nitpick or a bit of an issue for those who kind of rely on subtitles, but I do feel that this game in particular doesn't handle the text not well. I mean, it kind of stands out. I'm not going to say games in general handle them well, but this one stands out because it uses white text everywhere. Like, it never really adapts the color. And a lot of these atmospheres don't suit the white text. Like, even I had some trouble reading them here and there, and I have good eyesight, all things considered. No offense, Joy.
Fine.
Well, okay, and the major pet peeve. During skirmishes, the text boxes are tiny and they're automated, and they go by quickly. Now, for side skirmishes... Well, it annoyed me even during side skirmishes because, like we said, the side quests are supposed to build up the world, and you have the story going on during skirmishes, so we should be able to read them at our own pace, but sadly, no.
Yeah.
And then there's the one against the Horn one, which, I'm sorry, that's supposed to be the moment of triumph for a lot of these kingdoms, yet the five of us were kind of boggled with what was going on, partially because we couldn't read that text properly. Like we've all said, level 5, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I don't quite understand what happened there either.
Now, on to the story itself. Okay, like I said, it's great here and there, you know. I will say this, though. I do feel like the whole Roland just being brought in by the powers that be or whatever kind of felt a bit like a cop-out. Like, you know, not in the sense that it ruins the story, but it feels a little like maybe we could have just come up with an explanation for that. Like, I don't know. It feels a bit up there saying, oh, here's just brought here because higher power decided it, and that's why
Jova, me and Theo theorized that, remember, Doloran said, and I quote, then I'll just banish you to another dimension where you won't be a bother to me anymore. So it can pretty much, that line, I would argue, can be implied that he was the one who brought Roland here so that he wouldn't die, because if Roland died, then he would die, you know.
But then there's the whole who sends Roland back. Like, did Doloran also do that?
Well, my guess is, like I said, now that the forces that brought him here are not longer present, aka Doloran's powers. So that's my guess, at least. But yeah, I understand what your point.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know it's a minor pet peeve. It's just, again, it feels like the only reason he can't come back whenever he wants to, like, say, in the first game, is just because they couldn't really think of a reason to exclude the whole spell that allows you to transfer into worlds, so they thought, yeah, let's just do this.
Well, to be fair, Jova, Roland is not a wizard, so and you need to know the gateway spell to do that, and he doesn't. So technically, it makes sense that he wouldn't be able to come back, I guess.
Well, true, yeah, but Evan could cast that. Well, whatever. Like I said, Michael, it's technically a minor pet peeve. It's just,
sure.
I feel that, you know, I'm a guy who likes, you know, have as many things covered as possible without it being a detriment.
I understand
but again, aside from that, though, the story starts off at definitely a very nice pace and start. Like, you can tell Mozingler's a really bad dude. Well, of course, he's a rat. And you, as the new king, who are a kid, have to stop him, Hamlet style. And by Hamlet, I mean you become a king at a younger age. Thank God everyone doesn't die at the end. But your father's dead, god dang it. And then your nanny's dead. But hey, the guy who killed her is also dead. We'll find a recaller for him as DLC.
Not a recaller, but you'll see.
Oh, guess I'll wait and see then. But yeah, again, when Roland comes in, it's very neat, the action he does. And hey, I do like how they don't pull that whole thing with the whole gun thing. It's like, no, guns work here just fine. As Roland demonstrates well. So yeah, I like that. And then, you know, of course, it goes from there and then, you know, our cast grows more and more. Cloud Coil Canyon is pretty neat. Like, I do love me the Sky Pirates. I don't know if... Okay, it's a bit hard to say whether or not I like these Sky Pirates better than the Sky Pirates in the first Ni no Kuni game. I'd say at worst they're equal.
If you'll allow me, Jova, I would recommend you waiting on part 91 before you make that final decision, considering that entire part is focused on fleshing out Tanya and Batu. So if it helps you, you can choose to wait till that.
Okay. Well, I'll just say that for now, you know, my thoughts will probably change or whatnot.
Sure.
I'd say at worst they're equal, but I may have to give the edge to this game. I mean, yeah, I know, quite a shock and everything, but I guess it makes sense that they upgraded from their dragons to, you know, actual flying machines.
It's a throwback to Castle in the Sky.
And they're all really fun. It's really nice that the pirates actually get to be more a main part of a story, you know. Not to say that they weren't in the first game either, but, you know, here, they're kind of like part of the foundation of the kingdom you're building. It's pretty awesome. And like I said, Batu and Tani are awesome. So after that, we go to Goldpaw, which is, well, it's a starter showing how messed up these kingdoms can get. An entire kingdom based around gambling. That's a good idea. You know, of course, we got the whole forest thing. We got the Ace Attorney Court thing. That's all fun and good. Again, well-rounded and a good showing of what's to come. Then comes Hydropolis. I'm just gonna say this right now. Every single Casanova character you see in fiction would probably hang himself if they had to live in Hydropolis before Evan came to town. Like, holy cow, does that city have problems even after it's cured? The time loop and everything. Yeah, this game really does like time travel. Not in the worst ways, but holy cow,
Not
time
in the
travel.
traditional sense,
No.
but yes.
Level 5 Level 5 is actually one of the select few JRPG developers that always does make good use of time travel, actually. They don't really fall
Or
for
at
the...
least, like,
There's not a 13.2 equivalent of Level 5's catalog, thank God.
To be fair, you kind of have to try to make a time travel story that bad, and that's saying something considering it's time travel we're talking about. But I see your point.
Oh, if you allow me, Jova, Teo said something. Yeah, I forgot. I love the endless homages to the game towards other Namco games, even when it didn't need it, since it's self-published in Japan. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jova.
Yeah, those are nice. Hydropolis is definitely one of the most funniest worlds with a lot of the skits that take place there, including Evan's proposal to Tani, which is probably going to come to fruition, knowing that Evan's got an heir later on. So yeah, about
Who isn't fully Grimalkin, so just...
It clearly means the wife has to be human, and Tani has definitely been taking a shine to Evan. So yeah. Well, Lofty, I guess I can say I get laid later on in life.
Yep, you get...
Sorry, Evan, I'm too busy being high right now.
Well, at least Evan won't be getting...
she was a drug dealer.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the story. It's good, again, it's good. Broadleaf is my second favorite world after Evermore. Of course, Evermore is my favorite world because, well, like the United States, it's a uniting of all the different nations over in there. And hey, it's our own flipping kingdom. Of course, it's my favorite. But yeah, aside from that, Broadleaf's my favorite. Okay, Broadleaf's my favorite for the character arcs. I guess if I were to say what's my favorite for, the skits and funny stuff, that would be Hydropolis. Ironic, I know. Ding Dong Dell, though, is no slouch in showing how things have pretty much gone Nazi Germany World War II on the Grimalkin. Holy cow, Mausinger's a tough one. Of course, it shows even he, the evil rat, got manipulated by another rat, who was manipulated by Doloran, who's now dead.
By the way, Hino, I also saw Zootopia. Yes, it was a great movie.
Yes, we try everything.
Metropolis.
Anyway, so...
Zootopia makes more sense to that plot.
Whatever, let's just keep going.
True that. But yeah, overall, good story culmination. I do feel that things kind of get a little muddled around the final act. Like, okay, the final speech with Evan is definitely well done. I do find it a bit iffy, though, that these kingdoms kind of just immediately go all united. And don't get me wrong, I'm an optimistic guy myself here and there. I just think maybe they get along a little too easily. That's all, But, again, small stuff aside, I guess it feels like maybe it just feels a bit rushed here and there. Like, I've already gone into how I feel like the Doloran stuff is a bit weak here and there. And yeah, it does feel like, I think it's like, it doesn't feel like there's as much weight to the world being doomed here. Like, compare this to, when the White Witch caused that whole zombie apocalypse stuff like that, you felt. Well, yeah, there's some knocked out and unconscious here and there, but it's more like a passerby being thing more than anything. But again, when you actually get to the final fight itself, it's good. Yeah, you can probably tell I don't exactly have the highest thoughts of a lot of stuff involving the final act. That is until big payoff involving Evan here. Okay, I'm just going to say this right now. As a fan of Avatar, I am a big fan of the payoff to how Evan, and by extension, Arnell's dream did come true. Like, yeah, I have my issues with the whole Doloran thing kind of getting off a bit easy, all things considered, with what he did, and I'm still trying to figure out that whole falling in love with your own Kingmaker stuff and how that doesn't correlate to, what, but whatever, it's small details. Okay, not small, but whatever. But overall, though, that aside, I really do enjoy how the game follows through a step. And they don't really focus on the fact that, yes, sadly, Evan will pass away before his dream is fully realized. But it is neat to see that it will come to fruition. Believable. Doesn't feel like a cop-out or whatnot here and there. I appreciate that. That said, did we really need to bring time travel into here? I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Ferdinand and all, but I do wonder if the time travel was really necessary. I mean, I guess it's nice to
notice how Ferdinand himself said, this is going to sound strange, but...
yeah. Oh, God, did it ever. I'll give him this, though. I did not... okay, I had called time travel, but I didn't see that blue-haired boy being Evan's son coming. If anything, I am...
Like I said, it was for the purpose of giving that big final closure that Evan's dream did indeed come true in the end.
Yeah, and I like that. Yeah, like I said, overall it's a great story. It has quite a few flaws here that keep it from being, one of my ultimate favorite stories, but it's a story that I would not mind replaying every now and then, and hey, the DLC should add on even more to that.
It does. Specifically more lore and more character development.
Overall, it's not a flawless game, but I think it's a game that can fulfill your interests. It is a sequel to the original Ni no Kuni, but you don't have to play the first Ni no Kuni to know what's going on, especially considering how much has changed over all the years.
As demonstrated by the recently announced movie at the time of this recording, each Ni no Kuni entry is its own separate story that stands on its own. So there's, again, JRPG sequel logic, basically. The same Final Fantasy does. Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be funny if that movie does focus on Ferdinand as king?
Yeah, we already have confirmation of who the characters are, so no.
Oh. Doesn't even involve the king as the main protagonist.
An all-new story with an all-new cast. That's basically it.
Well, maybe Ferdinand's a part of that cast. I mean, I guess it depends. Did they give any names?
Unlike the first game, this one actually does start in the real world. So apparently the main characters are from the real world in this one apparently, and then they go to Ni no Kuni. So I'm guessing no. But whatever, anything can happen, I guess.
All right then. So that was Ni no Kuni 2, folks.
Alright, so that was it. Be sure to tune in for the eventual DLC. We're going to take a break from this game for a while, and we're going to do something else, since this playthrough is already long enough as it is. We're 81 parts in. So basically, everybody, we're going to take a break from this. Tune in for the Quiet Man.
Oh, wait,
Wonderful.
Hold on though, Pedro. Wasn't there something we wanted to tell the audience?
Oh, okay, sorry, I forgot. We'll edit this out in post. Alright, everybody, might as well give you a little thing that you need to know. Because of certain creative differences and behind the scenes, I will no longer be a permanent member of this group. However, don't worry, obviously I realize that obviously I'm the most popular member of the group. So my fans do not need to despair, because even if I'm not a permanent member, I will still be around doing casual stuff and plenty of guest stuff here and there. I just won't be a permanent member that will be around all the time.
Ironically, folks, this is kind of how things started off at season 2 of our show. Pedro was a guest commentator before one thing led to another, and look, here he is, our Musketeer, my second in command.
So yeah,
now my new second in command will be the other Spanish-related speaking citizen here, the Italian Tioscavin.
So yeah, all my fangirls need not despair. I will still be here, just not as often.
He's very fangirls. You can take me instead. I'm single.
Well, Jova, as long as they only fantasize, it's okay. So... anyway, me stroking my own ego aside. Yeah, so basically everybody expect a little less, some more playthroughs that don't involve me. However, I will still be around for quite a few stuff. It depends on things. Just take a good look. Make sure you look at the thumbnail to see which members are a part of said playthrough. And you'll be able to, and things will just go on smoothly, I'm sure. So
he's such a prominent member, we'll probably keep him on our YouTube banner.
That and like I said, I'm the most popular, so they need my popularity to drive their views. Of course,
we need an opinion poll for this one.
Anyway, everybody.
Be either me or Shiroi.
All right, I think that's everything. Anything else?
Well, you know what they say. Since we're now the 4 Musketeers, all for one and one for all.
So who's the D'Artagnan of this group then?
Dwibs.
Oh, I guess it makes sense. All right, everybody. Tune in.
Going by the order of who joined.
All right, everybody. Like I said, we're going to take a break from Ni no Kuni 2. But we will be back for the DLCs eventually. We'll just go. This playthrough is way too long at this point, so we're going to take a break. Not because we're tired of the game, but some variety is nice. So let's take a break. Anyway,
now, audience, we bid adieu to you, and to Pedro, we bid adieu to you as a member of our group.
Mm-hmm. All right, see you, everybody.
Virtual handshake.
Yes, do it like Roland and Evan. Yes, and then I'll disappear magically.
Don't worry. I'm sure when the world needs him most, he'll be back.
Turns out the DLC called me back. Anyway, see you, everybody.
No, dang it. We're supposed to have a sad moment.
All right, see you, everybody.
Bye.